So welcome to Unit 4, and just to recap on Unit 3, we looked at some strategies to manage children's behaviour. So now we're continuing to look at strategies and we're going to use some case scenarios. I'd like you to take a look at the following scenarios and make some notes about how you might manage the behaviour.
Bobby is 2 years old and more recently has been having a lot of tantrums.
So, what causes tantrums and what could you do to manage this behaviour? Take a moment to have a think about this. So, tantrums can simply be caused by tiredness. And looking at the developmental stage, tantrums typically occur around the age of 2 to 3 and if managed well can be a normal part of development. Or maybe frustration, as perhaps the child has not been allowed to carry out an activity as it's time to go home. It may also be attention seeking, as the child wants you to pay attention to him and the only way to do this is to have a tantrum. And a tantrum may also be due to the child being unable to express himself verbally. Some key points in managing this tantrum are to try to divert the child's attention or distract them into doing something else. Ensure safety at all times, so move away any furniture or sharp edges. Keep an eye on the child to ensure safety. However, don't give your undivided attention, as this can sometimes reinforce the behaviour, so the child would do it again. And remember to reassure the child following the tantrum. Now let's have a look at another scenario.
Josh is a boy of 42 months who has just started at your nursery and he's due to leave in 6 months to start school. You're very conscious of ensuring Josh has an opportunity to prepare for school. Josh is very erratic in his behaviour, and sometimes he'll sit nicely and read a book, whilst other times he'll run around the room shouting and throwing toys.
So, what could you do to help Josh? Take another few moments to answer this. Well, Josh is going through a lot of transition, so how is this making him feel? If you think back to the Maslow hierarchy of needs, perhaps the love and belonging level and safety and security level are to be addressed in terms of settling Josh into the nursery and helping him to feel more secure. It's also about finding out what his interests are and allowing him to become used to the routine in the setting. Another thing to use with Josh is a lot of praise, smiling at him, and maybe introducing a reward chart as a positive reinforcement of his good behaviour, and letting him know that unwanted behaviour is not acceptable. A reward chart is a type of chart used when a child demonstrates positive behaviour. For each positive act, the child may receive a star or a sticker on their chart, and this will act as an incentive for the child. This chart may act as a reward in itself. However, if the child gains enough stickers, you decide how many, they may receive a more tangible reward, such as a toy or a book. When dealing with unwanted behaviour with Josh, this is about aiming to ignore the behaviour safely, and remember, all attention given is still attention. In time, Josh will learn that unwanted behaviour does not receive the attention, and this should become less and less. He will not want to be ignored and will be pleased to receive positive attention when he behaves appropriately. This is known as behaviour modification and can be very effective. So now let's look at biting. Take a moment to think about why children bite and write down your answers. So what did you come up with? Remember, a child may be biting as it's linked to their stage of development, or they may be exploring. Take a look at some of the reasons. For infants, biting is a way of exploring objects, the environment, and even other children. They also experience a positive sensory feeling when they bite. Or they may just be teething, and biting helps to soothe the gums. Toddlers may bite because they are tired, bored, want to do another activity, they are frustrated, or they just want attention. For the older child, biting may be a way of seeking attention or a sign of aggression.
Jasmine is 16 months old and has been biting other children in her room. This happened previously and it was dealt with by observing, talking to parents and a calm and consistent approach. However, she started to bite again.
How would you deal with this situation? Take a moment and jot down your ideas. With biting, it's important to address the behaviour immediately following the bite and remember the child who has been bitten. Here is one way of managing the situation. How does it compare to your method? So firstly, comfort and reassure the child who has been bitten first. If you focus on the child who carried out the bite, this will give them the attention and the wrong message. Clean any injury with soap and water and assess if it needs further treatment. Number 2, be calm and firm. Address the child who has done the biting according to their age and stage of development and understanding. This may be with a firm "no biting" or "biting hurts." Keep it simple and easy for a toddler to understand. You need to make it clear that this has made the other child sad. And remember to refer to your behaviour management policy. And number 3, observe both children and discuss with both sets of parents sensitively. Some parents may be upset that their child has bitten or has been bitten, and some may not be worried by this. In both cases, have an open discussion about what will be done. Use positive reinforcement. Rather than reward negative actions with attention, make it a point to praise your child when he or she behaves well. This may help prevent your child from biting in the first place. Be aware and proactive and make use of distraction such as a book or a song if you see a child is about to bite. Remember point 6 to record the incident in your incident book. And point 7 is to monitor and follow up. Remember to document the information and work with the parents to ensure consistency. This may involve talking to the parents about how you are managing biting using the above method so that they can carry this out at home. So far, we've looked at strategies on how to deal with tantrums, reward charts, behaviour modification, and how to deal with biting. I'd now like you to look at this ABC chart, which is useful when recording and monitoring the behaviour of a child. This ABC chart can be used to record behavioural concerns. A stands for antecedents, that is, what has happened immediately before the behaviour took place. You can record any triggers, the child's emotions at the time, and what was going on in the routine. B refers to the actual behaviour. Here you can write down a description of what actually happened. You can describe the actual behaviour of the child here. And C refers to the consequences of the behaviour. So what happened immediately after the behaviour? This may include how staff responded to the behaviour and what actually happened. You can also keep track of where and when the behaviour happened and the time, so that you can see a pattern developing. Here's another scenario to think about.
Sarah is 4 years old and she is sitting quietly eating her lunch. Sandra, who has been sitting next to her quietly, suddenly decides to throw her sandwich into Sarah's lunch. Sarah becomes very upset and starts to cry.
How would you record this in the ABC chart? Have a think about it and make some notes. So how did you get on? Here's an example to look at. As you can see from the chart, under A we've recorded what happened prior to the behaviour. Then under B we've actually described the behaviour. And then under C, the consequence, which was how both children were communicated with, and also the plan of action. So moving on to look at how we work in partnership with parents when managing children's behaviour, take a minute to jot down how you work in partnership with parents. How did you do with that? Any ideas? Some ideas may include sharing the behaviour management policy. This can be done when the child starts at your setting. You can discuss how the setting implements the policy and remember to manage expectations of the parents. For example, do they have another way of showing their child how to behave at home? This may be due to cultural differences. A communication book can be used for parents to write down how the child behaves at home, and this can be compared to how the child behaves in the setting. The use of stories to teach children about their behaviour, which can be read in this setting and at home by the parents. What else could you do? Now just think about the following. Imagine a parent asks you the following questions about their child's behaviour. When will my child understand how to behave appropriately? How will you teach my child about managing their behaviour? What will you do if my child shows challenging behaviour? And how is my child's behaviour linked to his development? These are just some questions for you to reflect on. So well done, you've almost reached the end of this programme on managing children's behaviour. We've covered some case scenarios which have helped us to look at some more strategies. And before you finish, it's important for you to identify what you'll do as a result of this course. Think about at least one goal and a plan you may have now as a result of doing this programme. Look at the example to give you some ideas. Grab your notebook and pen, copy this grid, and just take 2 minutes when the video finishes to fill it in. Thank you for taking the time to work through this programme. Before you finish, there'll be a final quick quiz for you to do and a brief feedback form for you to complete. Please take a look at the other courses in our library. And remember, if you have any questions, please do email us at ask@trainingdesigns.com. So thanks again, and I hope to see you soon on one of our other courses. Bye for now.